What's up guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going to do another drive from downtown Los Angeles down to Irvine. Pretty much I do this drive every week or bi-weekly, so we're going to see how Autopilot does with today's newest update. So we'll see how Autopilot does on today's drive with the latest update at the time of this recording. So let's get on the road and hopefully there won't be too much traffic on the way down. Let's get into the video. Always got to make sure to get the coffee. All right, so it doesn't look like there's going to be too much traffic this morning. It says on the navigation system that it's 42 miles down and it's gonna take us 44 minutes. It's 9:20 a.m. right now. We're gonna arrive by about 10:04 a.m. In terms of the battery, I have 56% of the battery currently, and we will probably arrive with a lot less than that. I think it's estimated to arrive with about 39%, which is about a 20, which is about a 17% decrease in battery life. Well, makes sense. At about 2 to 3 miles per percentage point, and then we'll probably get back to LA with close to 30% of the battery left. So to go down from downtown LA to Irvine and back, you need at least about 40% of the battery just to make it back without depleting your whole battery. So to make it from downtown LA to Irvine and back, you'll need about 40% of battery total to make it down there and back without depleting your whole battery. So I'm about to get onto the highway here, and then I'll throw it onto autopilot. I didn't want to take too sharp of a turn there because I don't want to spill my coffee. Of course, it's definitely pretty bright out. I feel like today autopilot is going to definitely mess up because it's pretty bright out, clear as day, really clear, no clouds out. And that's really when autopilot screws up because the sun is just facing directly at the camera. So I'm going to get into the right lane right here, and then I'm going to throw it into autopilot. Turn it down. Okay, autopilot just made that left auto lane change all by itself actually. That was really weird. Did I change a setting there? So yeah, autopilot just made that left change into the left lane, and then now you can see on the screen that it wants to get back into the right lane for some reason. I'm going to increase speed to about 70 miles an hour, which should be pretty good speed currently. Everybody's going that, so we're just gonna match everybody else. Looks like the brightness is okay. I'm down to an 11 f-stop. Hopefully you guys can still see the visualization screen as well. But yeah, definitely a very bright day. My car is filthy, so I'm sorry for the dirty windshield. I guess I should have cleaned it a little bit before we got on our drive, but I was certainly in a rush, slightly. I'm gonna auto lane change to the right. Pretty sharp and quick, aggressive, and it got into the lane. There was really no cars in that lane, so it was pretty easy for autopilot to do that, and it did it pretty flawlessly. Going about 66 miles an hour currently on a cruise control setting of 70. Auto lane change wants to get into the right lane again. There is a truck in that lane. I can see it. I guess I don't want to get in that lane because it's just going to slow us down, but now that truck is getting out. Let's give it a second or two before we give it that confirmation to auto lane change. This car in front of us is also going to the right a little bit, so maybe we should just stay in this lane. But the system still wants to go into the right lane, but I'm just going to ignore it, and actually I'm going to cancel it because this lane that we're currently in, which is the left lane, is actually going a little bit faster. Yeah, definitely a pretty clear day. You can see the mountaintops in the far distance, and there's some snow at the top. I'm not sure if the camera can see it, but I can see it from here. The right lane seems to be going a little bit quicker, but now auto lane change hasn't recommended it yet. I'm going to go ahead and hit the auto lane change into the right lane, and we are pretty good. Going about 59 miles an hour now, slowed down a little bit. Cruise control setting is still set to 71. Now we're about to jump on to the I-5 South. Thanks for watching another video, guys. If you're new here, my name is Dennis. I have a Tesla Model 3 and a Nissan GT-R, and I make videos about my experiences. And so if you're interested in any of that, please hit that subscribe. Conditions, yeah, it's a very bright day, no clouds in the skies, 70 degrees out, so autopilot shouldn't have any issues, but I feel like it will as we enter this next stretch in which the sun is just facing directly at the cameras down at us. In terms of what version this is, I actually have no idea. I haven't had an update in a while, so I bet we're going to get one soon. But this is version 10.2, 2021.4.3. And this is the latest. There's definitely a lot more variables coming up right here. Trucks on our left and right. cars still coming up. A little bit of braking on the cars on the left and right lane, but no braking from Tesla just yet. We're just slowing down a little bit. Okay, a little bit of braking there. Detected the car coming in front of us come into our lane, and then it started to brake a little bit. Now Autopilot wants to get into the left lane, which I agree with, so let's go ahead and give it. Pretty easy. There wasn't really a car in the back there, so it was actually really perfect. Okay, so a little bit of craziness going up here. This truck on the left wants to come into our lane. The truck over 2 lanes to the right wants to come into the left lane. We're just going to slowly go between these 2 trucks, which is actually kind of scary. You really shouldn't do that. You should really give it some room. But of course, Autopilot doesn't necessarily know that, or it might not be programmed to do that. So it's just going to go right through and close the gap. Autopilot is increasing speed a little bit, getting pretty close to these big trucks to the right and to the right of us. I probably, if I was driving, I would probably get into the left lane because I don't want to be near these trucks at all. Autopilot wants to get into the left lane, but you can see that there's a car right there. So that car is now getting into our lane. It just turned on the signal. So let's go ahead and give it that confirmation to go into the left lane. We should be increasing speed pretty quickly now. Yep, now to 70 miles an hour. Cruise control setting is set to 71, so let's bump that up to 75, maybe even 78. I like to stay under 80 at all times because that's the most efficient for the battery, and you don't really want to be going above 80 miles an hour. And of course, just as we decided to start this video for today's drive, there is another update that I just see the symbols right now for it to download, and the newest update is available to download, and I haven't connected to my Wi-Fi yet, but it's 2021.4.6 and we're in 2021.4.3. Most likely it's just minor bug fixes, and oh shit, okay, I guess Autopilot didn't recognize that truck coming into our lane, so I just kicked out of Autopilot and accelerated past that so that truck could get into the lane. A little bit scary there. I didn't really know what Autopilot was going to do. It most likely would have braked and then let the truck come into our lane, but we were already like, I guess I'll have to look at the video, but I think we were about maybe 25% at the end of the truck, so I just made a decision to accelerate out of it and pass that truck on the right side. Going about 71 miles an hour on an 80 cruise control speed setting, just following this car in front of us, staying in the lanes. Alright, so going 70 miles an hour on an 80 cruise control speed setting. Pretty smooth sailing right now. This looks like all the traffic is coming from the other direction up to downtown Los Angeles. We still got about 30 miles to go, or 30 minutes. We should arrive at about 10:04 a.m. Looks like the battery has increased in terms of estimated range at arrival. It was saying 39% before, and now it's at 41%. So we increased about 2 percentage points based upon, I guess, the efficiency of our drive, because we kept it at about 65 miles an hour this whole time. It's currently downloading the new update, so we should be able to install it when we get down to our location, and then we might be able to test it later today on our drive back up. Increasing speed to about 81 miles an hour. I'm going to decrease that down to 79 so we don't really deplete too much of the battery. The one thing I've definitely gotten used to is when I first got the Tesla Model 3, and most likely a lot of other drivers or owners do this, is when they have their range or their battery percentage, they have it set to how much miles left are in the range. Just like how you have in a gas car, how many miles left of range you would have left in the gas tank. I quickly, or not quickly, but after a few months, or even maybe even 6 months, I changed that to battery percentage, because that seems to be more of like an accurate way to try to look at how much range is left, and then you can kind of just quickly do the math in your head at about 2 to 3%, because based upon the calculators of the computer, it might not be completely accurate. The one thing I do though is once I'm getting low to about 20% or even 10% of the battery range, I do switch it back to miles, just so I can see what estimate that the computers are doing for how much miles are left. So I kind of flip back and forth between what it displays, just because I like seeing the battery percentage versus the miles. Comment below on what you guys do if you have a Tesla Model 3 or any Tesla. Do you guys have your battery setting set to percentage, or do you have it set to miles of range? Love to hear you guys' thoughts. So we're coming up on the second traffic area, or the construction area of our drive. The first one was, we just passed it, but it really hasn't become a construction area anymore. They finished the construction, so it's really just a normal part of the highway now. They fixed all the lines and everything. Coming up to this second area, they've been working on this construction area since I've actually had this Tesla, so maybe like a year and a half now, and still hasn't been finished. Probably was delayed due to the pandemic, but some of the lines are a little bit skewy, and Tesla Autopilot, especially on a bright day like this when the sun is facing directly at the cameras, it might not be able to see the lines exactly, so it can make some errors in that section. So we'll get to that area and we'll see how Autopilot does during the construction zone, which you're not supposed to use Autopilot during construction zone, but it's pretty hit or miss with this, with my car at least. Sometimes it messes up at about maybe like 30 to 40% rate, but most of the time it gets it pretty easily and stays within the lanes. All right, so we are entering the construction area currently, going about 67 or 76 miles an hour on a 79. This first bank is to the left. You can see some of the lines going to the right there. There's some concrete barriers coming up on the left. Autopilot's doing pretty good right now on that first bank to the left. A little bit of bumpy, of course, during the construction area, and there's just debris everywhere, so you gotta really be careful. Autopilot is jittering to the left a little bit. It's doing pretty good. It wanted to go to the left a little bit there. It keeps kind of hitting back and forth. I do have to throw it out of autopilot because it kept flashing and it wouldn't take my scroll wheel adjustments to appease the nag timer. So now we're staying in the lane right now. It's still jittering a little bit to the left. It's trying to figure out where this lane is because there's a couple of different lines on the right. As you can kind of see, there's like a concrete line, a lane marker, and then I don't know what the third one is, but this is where it might screw up a little bit more. There's a concrete line to the right there, but nope, it actually is staying in this lane pretty much. It jittered to the right a little bit right there, and for the most part, it's staying in this lane. There was a little bit of hiccup back there where it wanted to veer to the left because of the concrete lines, but it pretty much did that pretty okay. If I wasn't, I'd definitely be worried if I wasn't paying attention to the car, because they did do a lot of stuttering, the back and forth left and right stuttering. But for the most part, it actually handled it pretty well, stayed within the lanes, and it made it through without a hiccup. I did have to throw it off of autopilot at one point because it didn't want to accept my nag timer, but I threw it off and quickly threw it back onto autopilot, and we are pretty much in the clear now. Going 72 miles an hour, cruise control setting is set to 75. Should be closing this gap just a little bit, but traffic is also increasing speed. It wants to get into the left lane, but that is an HOV lane, and I don't think we need to get into that lane just yet. And we should be pretty good from here on out. That last stretch of highway, we have been going a little bit faster at about 70 to 75 miles an hour instead of the first stretch of the highway where we're going 65. Let's see what the computers are estimating that we will arrive with, what type of percentage left. Looks like we now have increased to 42%. We started this trip saying that we would arrive with 39% in Irvine, and then it said 41%, and now it's saying 42%. So we've definitely increased efficiency on this drive by going under 80 miles an hour, but still going like 70, probably average 70 miles an hour on this trip. We can see here that, let's see, can we see on this trip? No? No? Okay. Autopilot is doing some funky stuff right now. It doesn't like this lane, so we're just gonna get into the right lane right there. So it looks like, doesn't really say anything in terms of average speed, but it looks like our energy consumption watt hours per mile is 227, which is actually pretty good. Usually my average is 262 for my whole lifetime, so we've actually done pretty well on this drive down in terms of efficiency, and that's why it's saying we're going to arrive with a higher percentage point of battery. I'm going to go back into the left lane because it's going faster. I don't know why autopilot wanted to get into that right lane right there. Should coast here at about 70 miles an hour unless some cars come up behind us and then we have to get out of this lane. Alright, so we should be good from here on out. There really shouldn't be any traffic and there's really no construction zones after this. So this is where I'm going to go ahead and end it, guys. Thanks for watching another video. Please hit that like if you enjoyed it, and comment below on how you thought Autopilot did on today's drive, or if you've had autopilot issues with yourself if you own a Tesla, or if you're thinking about getting a Tesla, just comment any questions and I'll be happy to answer when I can. All right, guys, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.